go live. Oh, then you click this. Okay, now I'm live, and I'm going to be doing a discussion on loss of use damages in rental cars after automobile collisions. I've done some videos on this over the last few days, and there's some things to discuss, and I think it's important to know your legal rights after an automobile collision, what you are entitled to, and that's what the stream's about. Oh, Roxana's in. So I'm going to put up a case on the screen here. Let's see if this works. It's going to take a moment. I think it's going to have a little delay. Testing this out. It's quite a bit of delay, actually. That's a lot of delay. This is the case that establishes that loss of use of an automobile flows from the personal injury negligence cause of action under Civil Code section, California Civil Code section 3333. And section 3333 basically establishes that if somebody hits you in an automobile negligently and causes you injury, you have a right to sue them for damages. So it says it is established under this section that where a vehicle is injured by the wrongful act of another, that the owner is entitled to recover for the damages done to the vehicle and also for the loss sustained by being deprived of its use during the time reasonably required for the making of repairs. And that also goes for the replacement of automobiles in California. Although I was reading a case from Alabama that stands for the proposition that you don't get loss of use if your car is being replaced. You only get it if your car is being repaired, and that if it's a total loss in Alabama, there's no loss of use. But in California, we do have it. So if your car is damaged and it's damaged so badly that it's deemed a total loss, then you'll receive loss of use for the time that you've been deprived of the use of your vehicle. And that's what you get. So I'm waiting to discuss another case. Let's see here. Let's click on this. So this is another case. There's a case that is also applicable to loss of use, and this case stands for the proposition that it stands for the idea that if you're not using your automobile and you're only using it like once a week, well, in this case, it was the automobile was damaged in a repair shop. So the automobile was going to be out of commission for the several weeks that the loss of use, it was then repaired after it was damaged, and there was actually no time that the owner lost use of their automobile. So under this case, under those facts, John Metz versus Louis Soros, the owner of the automobile was not entitled to the loss of use of their automobile, because they were not going to be using their automobile during the time period that the automobile was damaged and then repaired. So there has to be an actual loss of use. And that's what this case stands for. So an insurance company that's on your claim, if they're not providing you with a rental car, it's because they don't have to provide you with a rental car. No concurrent viewers. Okay, so if you've been injured in an automobile accident, you can consult with my office. I'm going to start doing live streams every couple days where I'm going to go over some topics that are relevant to automobile collisions. So those will be open to the public. I'm going to try to stream those and let the public know that I'm going to be doing these streams so that you can learn more about automobile collisions. If you've been in one and you're having issues, you would be able to come in and ask questions at the end, learn some about automobile accidents and injuries and how the insurance industry works and how to best navigate your way through the process to maximize the amount of money you receive and also minimize the headache of the whole thing, because being involved in an automobile collision, you're going to have a headache. It's just, there's no way around it. The person hit you, they caused you to maybe lose the use of your automobile for a few weeks. You missed work, you have neck pain, you're not sleeping well. It's causing you to become irritable. You're dealing with insurance companies and they're not very helpful and it takes forever. So if you're in this situation and you have questions about the process, you should come into my live streams, ask questions, and then after the topic that I'm discussing is complete, I'll take questions and provide answers. And there'll be, general questions, nothing too specific about any particular case. So if you've been involved in automobile collision and you're having questions and you're not sure about the process, you can enter into the live stream, listen to the topic, and then ask some questions that then I'll answer. And of course, if you need to consult with my office after an automobile collision, you can always get our information from our page and give us a call or reach out in the chat and just say, hey, I'd like to be contacted, and we'll give you a message and we can connect. So I'll be putting up these live streams every couple days, and it will be a way for the public to connect with our firm and learn something, especially if they have a friend or family member who has a situation. Maybe it will give them something to provide some guidance and also guide them to a free consultation, because every case is different. So the information that I give out on my live streams is just general information based upon facts that may or may not exist in your particular circumstances. And those facts could change the way that your claim plays out. And that's why it's important to do your research online and then find a lawyer who you think is right for your case, who can help you. So my primary area of practice is injury law. I practice in the Superior Court. I file lawsuits for negligence against automobile accident on behalf of my automobile accident clients. And I also do workers' compensation claims for people who are hurt at work. They need someone to help them through the workers' compensation process. And, I've worked on wrongful death cases that have resulted from the negligence of companies and things like that. So if you've been involved in automobile collision, give me a call. And I know Roxana's watching this right now. And as soon as you came on, I was like, oh, I must say something good. So I started to get nervous. So anyway, we'll be doing these live streams every couple of days, because when you're involved in automobile collision, you're not sure what to expect. It's going to be a headache for sure, and you need some guidance. So I hope that the videos that I have on this channel will be helpful to you, and you can use them to glean some knowledge about your circumstances by just reviewing the general information on my website and on my videos and then applying it to your own circumstances. And that really is probably going to lead you to, hey, I need to contact an attorney because this is a serious situation and I need more information. And I need to speak with someone who has more knowledge than I do. So the live streams are your ability to connect with my firm and allow us to provide general information so that you can assess whether or not you need a lawyer for your circumstances. Maybe you don't need an attorney. You should still call one and ask, hey, do I need an attorney? Do you think you'd take this case? And then we give you our honest feedback, and you would be able to use that to further your strategy. So you need to know if you have a case, and if you do, if my office can represent you on a contingency fee, which means you pay nothing up front unless your case is successful. So if you're involved in automobile collision and you'd like to consult with me, you need to give my office a call to start the process. It's a free consultation process. It doesn't cost anything to call my office. So if you're receiving general information online here and you would like some more specific type of information about your particular set of circumstances, then you definitely need to reach out. But I'm more than happy to have people here listening to what I have to say about the topic for the session, for the live stream, and then also afterwards would take questions on that topic or any topic, any types of questions related to injury law as it pertains to automobile accidents, work-related injuries. I do crossover claims, so claims where someone's driving on the roadway and they're working for their employer and they're in an automobile collision that they don't cause. They have a claim against the party or the person who hit them negligently, and they also have a workers' compensation claim. And those types of cases they can have some complexity to them, and you need a lawyer that understands both systems and how they interact with each other. So if you've been involved in automobile collision and you were working at the time, you probably want to consult with a lawyer who has knowledge of both fields. So I started out doing workers' compensation law, and I did that for a couple years before I started doing automobile collisions. And so I really understand how the Workers' Compensation Appeals Board works and how medical treatment is given in workers' compensation claims. I was hoping that I get more than just one viewer. I guess I had 3 viewers, but I lost a few viewers. Or maybe that's just Roxana coming back in because I probably wasn't talking about much and people were wondering, what's this guy talking about? Well, I'm here just to set a place marker where I'm going to begin doing live streams on certain topics related to automobile collisions that the general public can use as informative videos and also as a way to contact my office and interact with my office. So if you've been involved in an automobile collision and you're injured, then I encourage you to give my office a call, and I'd be happy to give you a free consultation. So I'd like to discuss rental cars a little bit here then. So if you're involved in automobile collision and you are injured and you also have property damage issues, you're probably wondering, well, what lawyer do I call? A personal injury lawyer is going to help you with your bodily injury claim, and a personal injury lawyer might or might not help you with your property damage and your rental car. So there's some administrative functions that my office engages in to help our personal injury clients with their property damage. We help coordinate the repair or replacement of your automobile. So we're going to help you, give you guidance on which adjusters you need to contact if it's your own insurance carrier. Usually we'll contact the adjusters if it's the other party's insurance carrier. If it's our own client's insurance carrier, we will also discuss the case with the adjusters. But our client also needs to get into the body shop and, get the car inspected and we'll help them coordinate an inspector to come out to the body shop and have the car inspected. And during that period of time, our clients are wondering, well, am I going to get a rental car or not? And maybe in the past they've had a rental car provided to them in a past accident. And that's because the person who hit them had a nice insurance policy and liability was clear, and the car was in the shop quickly, so there was no question of a delay in circumstances. And in a really clean situation where you have a good insurance company on the other side and those other factors line up, you end up with a rental car at Enterprise, and they're driving you back and forth between Caliber Collision Center, which is what happened when I was involved in an automobile collision and hit by someone with State Farm. It was really clean. And a lot of my clients, they come into my office and they think that that's the clean situation that they're going to walk into. But during the initial consultation, I'm discovering, okay, maybe there's a bargain insurance carrier on the other side. The person who hit my client has cheap insurance. That insurance carrier is not just going to say, well, let me get you a rental car and all that. They're going to say, you go rent your own car, and then you submit the bills back to me, and then maybe I'll pay it. And then, they're negotiating with you and saying, well, I don't think that the car is worth $50 a day. You paid $50 a day. I'll only allow $30 a day. And you wanted it through the end of March, but the car was ready on 3 days before that. You didn't go in and get it. And it was really the weekend. So you were there for the weekend doing something else and you couldn't go in and pick it up. So you went in on Monday and you kept the rental for the weekend. And now you're arguing with the adjuster over whether or not you're going to have your rental car reimbursed all the way through to when you picked your car up. And these are the types of bickering matches that you can get in with the adjusters over the loss of use. So when you have a bargain carrier and you're arguing over which days you should be reimbursed for, it can be very frustrating. So as I was saying before, if you're hit by someone with a bargain carrier, you're not to expect a rental car. And that's what I inform my clients about at the initial consultation. Now, maybe my clients have their own insurance and they have rental car coverage, which is something that I encourage everyone to purchase because a lot of people are hit on the roadway by people who have bargain insurance carriers. I strongly recommend that you purchase rental car coverage. So if you're hit by someone who has a minimum bargain insurance policy, that you can go to your own carrier and put in a claim and then get your rental car coverage, and you'll get a certain number of dollars allotted per day. Maybe there's a little excess charge or something, some tax or something that you have to cover. I remember I had to spend like $25 when I used mine. I don't know what it was for, but it was very affordable. And I did that, and I used that coverage because I knew that if I was hit by someone who didn't have the right insurance, or maybe the other party is trying to deny liability and the police report's not out yet. So maybe there's a dispute over what occurred and the other party is lying, and the police report has a witness that will basically prove your case. During that period of time, the other party's insurance company is not going to be renting you an automobile. They're going to be investigating the claim, maybe even denying your claim. Maybe they're even their insured is even trying to push for them to pursue a claim against you. So then you get the police report, you clear it all up, and you say, hey, I'm wanting a rental now. But it's been weeks and your car's been out of commission, so you can't wait that long. So during the initial consultation, if it turns out that my client has their own insurance, I'm going to encourage the use of that insurance. That's why you buy the insurance. You wouldn't buy insurance and then not use it. The reason why you buy collision coverage, even though you have a deductible, is so that you can use that insurance in the event you're injured by someone who doesn't have the proper insurance, or it's a disputed case, or you injure someone. And I hope that never happens, because it's horrible to hurt someone else. And I think that everybody needs to take extra caution on the roadways. I don't think people take enough. But you're going to want to use your own insurance. And a lot of my clients can, they say, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to use my own insurance. I'm not going to use my medical payment coverage, which is another type of insurance that you can have in addition to rental car coverage, that will cover deductibles on your own private health insurance or an ambulance bill, which is maybe cash. It will pay those expenses even if the other party doesn't have insurance or you're in a dispute of liability situation. So some people question, well, do I get a rental car myself and then ask for reimbursement? Well, if you need to have a car, I would suggest that you rent one. And of course, not everybody is not everybody's financially capable of renting a car. And that's a situation that I'm well aware of, because it's not cheap to rent a car. It's $50 a day. But the more sophisticated carriers like State Farm, and if the case is clear cut and they know they're going to be exposed on the loss of use, they'll do the claimant a favor and actually treat them good, treat them right on the rental. Maybe they're hoping not to get sued. The insurance adjuster is always trying to find a way to soften up the claimant and pay him less money. Give them a nice rental car. Give it to them quick. Then offer them $1,000 and have them go away. So I'm not saying that that's a policy or strategy of any of the insurance carriers. It just seems to me that if a rental car is provided to my client and the client has a nice and easy time at getting their car repaired, that they might not be as upset with the whole situation. And that causes them less of a headache, and maybe they're not as prone to sue. So maybe insurance companies do it for that reason as well, just to be good to those who they know they owe money to. Whereas the bargain insurance carriers know that they only have a $15,000 policy exposed because that's the minimum insurance, and they know they're fully exposed to it anyways. So they're not going to be reaching out to spend any extra money for the claimant. And that's why I also can always encourage my clients to purchase uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage, which can be a topic for another live stream like tomorrow or something. I'll do it, where we will discuss a little bit about uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage. I've done some videos on this. They haven't really been super informative. So I would like to put up a live stream about that and then take questions because uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage is something that a lot of people don't have or even know about, that you can purchase insurance that will cover you in the event that someone doesn't have insurance and negligently harms you. It covers you for someone who has, it is also underinsured in California. The policies are written so that if it's an uninsured motorist or it's an underinsured motorist, if you have excess coverage above what that party has, you can then make a demand on your own policy. But the insurance companies don't really like to pay those either. And depending on the insurance company, you're most likely going to need a lawyer to claim on those policies. I mean, unless you're in an incident and the medical bills are $50,000 and you have a $15,000 uninsured motorist policy, your insurance carrier is probably going to pay that claim pretty quick. But if you have $5,000 of damages in your case and you have a $15,000 uninsured motorist policy, there's no guarantee that your carrier is going to see your claim the same way as you do. And I make demands on uninsured motorist policies all the time, and they're kicked back saying, well, we don't think that our own insured is very injured, or we don't think it's worth that much money, at least. It depends on the case. And we end up going to arbitration, or we at least start to prepare for an arbitration, which is where you go if you have a dispute with your own insurance carrier over an amount of money for bodily injury on an uninsured motorist bodily injury policy. You don't get a jury trial. You get an arbitration. It's a private arbitrator that decides, here's evidence, listens to what you have to say, looks at your medical bills, listens to your expert, listens to whatever medical examination the insurance company wanted to put you through, listens to that doctor a little bit, and then makes a decision on how much your case is worth. It's not a jury deciding what types of suffering you experienced and how much those things are worth based upon the safety violation of the person who hurt you, which is the primary dagger in the insurance company's side, is what was the defendant doing that caused the incident that injured the plaintiff. Because the more egregious their insured's behavior, like if they were driving drunk or if it was something horrible that they were doing at the time that caused the injury, they're going to stay away from that, from the jury. They're not going to want to have that case necessarily see a jury because the damages could be quite large. So negligence cases are also about the conduct and the safety violations of the defendant, not just about the nature and extent of the plaintiff's injuries. But that's the way insurance adjusters, they don't really look at what the defendant did. They just look at the numbers. So they don't really care, about all that stuff. They just say, okay, well, how little can I get away with paying this claimant? And even if it's your own insurance company, they're always asking themselves that question. What's my bonus looking like at the end of the year? Do the insurance company numbers, are those adding up right in our meeting? How much reserves do I have? Hopefully they have some reserves. I mean, the insurance adjusters, some of the new ones, they don't even have any authority at all. You send them a demand and they're like, okay, I can pay you, $4,500. And you just have to scratch your head and wonder, well, does this person just not know what they're doing? Is that their authority? Well, I'm having to go back to my client and tell my client, hey, we have to file a lawsuit against this person who hurt you because their insurance company is lowballing you. And then we have to have a discussion about how injured my client is. So I'm getting a little off topic here. Going back to rental cars and loss of use, which is what the discussion is about. I can't say it's an easy situation presenting a loss of use damages claim to the insurance company, because the insurance companies, it's always a fight with the adjuster over this and that, and expect that if you're fighting with the adjuster, they don't like you personally and they just throw your stuff to the bottom of the pile. So it's always good to be professional with the insurance adjuster, even if they're treating you horribly. You have to try. I mean, it happens. It's with lawyers, like in my situation, dealing with insurance companies, adjusters. I mean, there's just certain adjusters and certain lawyers where it's just, man, it's like pulling teeth getting through this case, because they just don't have any heart, in my opinion. It's all about the numbers. It's all about how much or how little am I going to pay? How little is the claimant going to take? That's all insurance companies are willing to entertain. And so it's my job as an automobile accident lawyer to present the claim in a way that will have the most success in getting the adjuster to provide a reasonable settlement, because that's ultimately the best situation for my client, is to get a good settlement, because trials take forever. And right now I'm having trials, they're continued out years and years. I mean, we think we're going to go to the trial setting conference, and I'm getting ready, and I think we're going to get a trial date. And the judge asked me, what do you want, Mr. Napolin? I'd like a trial date. I said, oh no, we're continuing you to November now. I mean, that's pretty much the way it's been for a lot of my cases. So convincing the insurance company, I call it the insurance companies throwing the case into the pit, giving you a low ball settlement offer so that you go get a lawyer and then you file a lawsuit, and then they just throw it in the pit. That's the Superior Court right now, the pit, because there's hardly any case movement. Not to say that there was a lot of case movement before. I mean, cases always got continued, and discovery was always, barely getting done, by the insurance carrier. They're always asking, hey, can we have a continuance? We need to finish our discovery, please. Well, now they got all the time in the world. The cases never go. So I know the Children's Dental Group case in Anaheim, that case has been going on since 2016, and that case got just pushed back and pushed back and pushed back by the court. The defendants, of course, they're objecting to every trial possible, so they want to put the court and the plaintiffs through every hoop that they can possibly put them through, so that it takes forever, and then COVID comes and wipes out the courts and everybody's at home. So the Children's Dental Group, those 202 children haven't even seen a trial in Orange County Superior Court. So the trial is going to be in February of 2022, supposedly. But, I mean, with the way the court has allowed the defense just get trial continuances, I'm just, I think that we'll have a trial. I do finally think we'll have a trial, because the 5-year statute case has to go to trial. So we're going to get some trials, but the defense just throws them in the pit right now. Just get rid of the case and not pay it. So if you're involved in automobile collision, you're dealing with an insurance company, it's important to be professional with the insurance adjuster. Get them out to the auto body shop, get your car repaired, and get reimbursed for your rental car. If you don't have enough money to rent a car, then you can still apply for the loss of use damage. You can still say, hey, I had a Honda Civic and it would have been, $40 a day to rent. And I was without my car for 12 days. So I want, 40 times 12. What's that, $480? So that's what you would be asking for loss of use if the rental car wasn't provided to you. Now, I had a situation where my wife was hit in an automobile collision recently, and the defendant lied. The person who hit my wife in the parking lot of the school lied, and ultimately it went to arbitration, and we won. And I paid out of pocket. I used my own rental car coverage, and I made payments out of pocket for my car. And I could have even leased a nicer car or rented a nicer car for that period of time, and then above my rental car coverage limit, and then turned around and claimed it on the person who hit my wife in my car. And I could have said, hey, you pay that additional amount. Now the adjuster would have maybe made an argument with me and said, well, your car's not worth that much. Your car isn't worth, that much a day. I'm going to discount it. I'll split the difference with you. And then you just can't file any lawsuit over that because it's only, $20 or $30. So you end up having to, do business with the insurance company that way, which is what we do as lawyers. We do a lot of business with the insurance company. In fact, you're hiring a lawyer to do business with the insurance company mostly. And sometimes that doesn't result in a lawsuit. Sometimes it just results in an insurance claim that's prosecuted and a demand is made and then the money's paid, it's negotiated, and everything is complete. But if you're involved in an incident and you're seriously injured, you can't just let that incident just have time go by. You got to go to the doctor. You got to get treatment for your injuries. If it's a serious situation and you're catastrophically injured, you need to make sure that the incident is investigated. This is something that I do a lot. When I am presented with a very serious injury case, I will get on my phone, start making phone calls. I will run reports. I will run background checks and reports right from my computer right here with my investigative tools that I have. I will get an investigator to go to the scene if I don't go myself. So if you're seriously and catastrophically injured and you need a lawyer on your side who cares, who fights, who is going to go the extra mile to make your case work out, then you should consider hiring my firm, or at least calling to have a free consultation. And we don't charge a contingency fee for the collection of the property damage and the loss of use. I do that just if I represent you for bodily injury against the bodily injury portion of the other party's insurance policy, and just know that the property damage is a separate policy from the bodily injury portion. So the state minimum requirements in California for a liability insurance policy for automobile insurance is $15,000, $30,000, $5,000. $15,000 per individual that's injured in the incident, and an aggregate of $30,000 for the bodily injury of all individuals injured in the incident. So no one person can collect more than $15,000. And if there's 3 injury victims in that incident, then altogether they cannot collect more than $30,000. And the property damage is limited to only $5,000. So I see a lot of incidents where someone with a $5,000 property damage insurance policy just damages like 6 or 7 automobiles in some massive collision that they cause, and it's only $5,000 of property damage. Now, maybe there's lawsuits going all around in that type of situation, but clearly you get the point where it's only $5,000 of property damage and you hit 2 cars and you total 2, Mercedes-Benz. It's going to be, I hope those Mercedes have collision coverage on their automobile, because you should if you have a car that's that expensive, because the state minimum is only $5,000, and that includes money that has to be provisioned for loss of use. So property damage, the property damage $5,000 is $5,000 to repair or replace automobile, and then it also would have to cover the loss of use of that automobile and any other property damage, any other property that's damaged in the automobile from the collision. So if you have a totaled car by someone who has a bargain insurance company, then you're not going to get loss of use most likely ever, because your car is already going to take up the whole $5,000 and you're not going to be left. There's not going to be anything left for you. This often happens when, multiple cars are damaged. There's a lot of different claims. I had a case where it was like 3 years almost elapsed. Almost the statute of limitations for property damage in an automobile accident is 3 years. So it's not the 2 years for bodily injury. You actually have 3 years from the date of the incident to sue someone in civil court for the property damage to your automobile. And in this particular case, there was like 3 claimants, and one of the claimants wasn't getting their property inspected for like years. And the carrier wouldn't release the money until all of the cars had been inspected, because they were going to have an apportionment. They were going to have to pay a portion of the policy based upon the total damages of all the automobiles. So because the policy wasn't large enough. So because one person wasn't getting their car inspected, it was going for like years. And my client was just completely just upset. I mean, and I explained it, and part of the reason why it was all okay is because I explained what was going on and they understood, and they weren't just waiting forever and not knowing. But they did, and they actually have come back to me and hired me again on another collision. And even though they had to wait all that time to get their property damage done, because I explained that you have to wait for the other party to complete it. And he ended up with getting like $1,500 for his totaled car from the other party's insurance carrier because he didn't have collision coverage on his own insurance. If he had had collision coverage, I would have advised him to pay his deductible, get his car fixed, and then ask, and his insurance was AAA, and ask AAA to get the money back in the subrogation in an arbitration action against the other driver, and then just maybe he'd even get his deductible refunded. But he didn't have collision coverage, so he was at the mercy of the other party's insurance company to pay for his property damage and his loss of use of his automobile. Well, I've been talking for about 45 minutes now, so I'm just going to sign off and go home. And I will do another live stream tomorrow, and I will cover another topic. I won't talk about loss of use. I will talk about uninsured motorist claims and maybe Uber and Lyft accidents, which is something that I think there was some cases that are affecting workers who drive Uber and Lyft. Some cases that might have substantial impact on the insurance industry and how Uber and Lyft are able to operate in the state. But if you're in an Uber or Lyft, you have uninsured motorist. I mean, I represented a sad situation where my client passed away. Well, my client's mom passed away in an automobile accident. She was an Uber driver, and there was an uninsured motorist policy. It was a big policy, and it helped her a lot, helped her family a lot at least. And yeah, I'll talk about that tomorrow. And any other questions? Since nobody's live with me right now, I went for 45 minutes. I had some users, some people were watching, and I don't know. We'll see.